Samantha Watson is a highly accomplished career woman. She's currently pursuing her doctorate degree in social work. Being a director of a children's ministry has led her to her newest project, a series of children's devotionals and a groundbreaking system that will revolutionize the way kids do devos. Samantha is here on this episode of the Aloha Monday Pod. Aloha, everyone. My name is Lexi Lum. This is the Aloha Monday podcast. And I have with me one of my very amazing, cherished friends, Samantha Watson. I know that she's working on several projects, one being a devotional. And so, Samantha, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your devotional project?
Okay, well, thank you, Lexi, for having me on your podcast here. And so the devotional that I'm working on, actually, it really stemmed from my love and passion for serving in children's ministry, which I have done for over the past 20 years now, over 20 years, and had the privilege of overseeing many different children's ministries actually across our country here. God really allowed me to have that privilege and that gift to work with children, right? And in that process, I've seen possibly a need of some type of devotion that would be simple but yet impactful for children. It's something that families can do together to equip their children. 20 years ago, I was in the process of actually writing devotionals when I first got started. And tragically, somebody stole my laptop, and I thought my dreams were all ended. Felt, okay, well, this is not God's dream for me. Well, it actually birthed out of me helping my daughter because she wanted to do devotions. And it came right back again in these 6 that I self-published devotions, but now working through a publisher to get those things more solidified and out in the general public soon.
Can you describe more about your devotional project that you are coming out with in the next month or so?
Yeah. So the age range that we're focusing on is about from 7 to 11. But specifically how this devotion series is going to work, we're doing a 2-year series actually of all for 2 years. Yes. So we're already halfway done. So I'm already more than halfway done actually.
So you developed the system of how to teach children the proper habits of doing devotions. Because what is a quality devotional? A quality devotion is they get it into their heart. The quality devotional is if they have the ability to bounce back if they missed a couple of days or several days. Yeah. And your book fosters that that process of teaching children how to do this, which is really unique. I think you probably shared a little bit about what motivates you. It's your own desire to help your kids draw closer to God ultimately.
How do you help kids? How can we help kids to not just learn the memory verse, but actually do a devotion, right? Mm-hmm. And I was doing that. And I think what happened was full circle. It came around when I had my own kids. And I know it was a spiritual battle. And I know a lot of times because there's conflict, within me, it was because I was wondering, is this something that maybe was too late? I don't know. God, is this you? So many questions and how does this process? And I think we all go through some of those things, especially it was over 20 years ago that my laptop got stolen, seriously. So I thought it was gone and I thought it was, not, but the more and more in my personal devotional time, and God would keep gently reminding me about those things that I just love to do. And I would create it every once in a while. And I would sit down or I would go on my computer and say, if I did a devotional, what would it look like? On my own time, just kind of dreaming how it would look like. And then I started saying, okay, how do I put it together, right? What would it look like? The first one that I created was Psalms 23, right? So just
Mhm.
week by week and just praying, like, God, what is it going to look like? How could it be something maybe different but yet impactful, simple but yet impactful for children? And then he started giving me more ideas, and it's really truly developed from the very first time that I've done this up until now, into the illustrator's hands and the publisher's hands. It's actually developed way more than the very first time. So there's so much more that I think I left out because that wasn't the initial of how I created it, but it actually got better.
What are some of the challenges that you have faced or are you facing in pursuing this, and how are you overcoming?
Well, I think for me, the very first challenge was, okay, how do I do graphics? How do I do this? Well, there's so many systems, there's so many
Mhm.
things out there that was super helpful, right? And then how do you find a publisher? How do I publish
Mm.
this?
Mhm.
Trying different platforms, and some of them fell through, some of them didn't work. And then when one that really just did work for me, that was working, and I found it was simple, and I saw the actual end production of the 6 devotionals that I made, that actually filled that fire in me to say, I know this is not the end, but I know that this is just really a start of, this was actually all the drafts that I'd done. So as I give it to
Mhm.
my publisher and the illustrator, so all of these that I've done,
Wow,
and
you did more than I thought
yeah,
you. Wow,
yeah,
that is a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. But the most challenging thing is, like, honestly, like, how do I asked him, how do I set up a business? How do I do all these, like, I really, I'm not interested in doing all of that, but I know it's very vital. So I know God is going to put people to help me, to support me in all of this.
You had situations where you're like, okay, I don't know to do these illustrations. I don't know how to publish this. And yet, like, God brought along the resources to you, and now you're in the midst of it. You went from thinking about it to doing it, which is absolutely amazing because there's people out there who are thinking about writing a book. They're thinking about doing what it is that they're doing, reaching out, but they have no connection to any resource. How exciting, Sam.
That
Yeah.
it is, and even with campaigning to fund this project. So a lot of times we think
Mm.
that, um, you know, as far as when you're talking about partnering, and God shared this with me, and I think it would be so valuable to share with others, that
Mhm.
it's not just, yes, it's financially, it's relationally, when you're giving of your time, your talent, and your treasure, right? But it also allows other people to invest in God's dream, in God's doing, right? In God's project. Because I had to learn that, because God really put it on my heart, because I said, okay, how are we going to finance all of these things, as far as working with the publisher, working with the illustrator, because there's a financial piece to that. I said, I don't want to ask people for money. And God really had to minister to my heart about that. And he said, it's not
Mm.
about you. It's about them sowing seed, because we allow our opportunities for people to sow seed, because whatever it is that you're believing for, you need to plant a seed for that. So when you allow people to have this field to plant their seed into, they can receive that harvest too, of whatever it is that they're planting, right? So if somebody is wanting some favor in writing or devotions or whatever the case may be, right? You sow into what it is that you're going and what you're needing, right? So, and that's what God showed me,
Mm.
that people are sowing into this because they're sowing where they want to go.
Let me ask you this: on a scale of 1 to 10,
Mhm.
how risky did you feel it was to step out and do something like this?
As far as creating all of this, right? As far as doing the actual thing. But I think what
Hmm.
happened was, when I actually went to publish it, I had all the inserts, I had all the cover, but I
Hmm.
think that was like, honestly, was like a 5, because nobody was looking at it. It was just me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was like, that was no risk. It was maybe risk of time and me learning the process. And that's why I'm like, I'm not
Hmm.
interested in doing that, because it does take me a quite a while to do all of this. And I know how hard it could be. That wasn't really a risk. It was something that I wanted to do and I wanted to learn. But I'm going to share this. The moment that God told me to publish this, even if it was self publishing, I honestly remember sitting at my laptop praying and looking for like some sign, like something to happen. Like, God, is this you? Like, is this really you? Do you want me to do this? Like,
Hmm.
when should I do it? Should I press send now? Like, seriously, I remember feeling
Wow.
all of that. Why? Because I said, if I publish it, what if they reject what I publish? Nobody was saying go go. I didn't have like an arena full of people. I felt like, or like even, somebody saying
Yeah.
go go, do it, do it, do it. It was more of an internal
Mm.
motivation, that when I sat still and God is asked me, what are you
Hmm.
looking for? When whatever we do in private, God will do in public if he wants and if he needs to, if we're ready for that. And he said,
Mm.
just do it.
Like you have this intensity of moment of all these thoughts and feelings and arguments coming against what you want to do, and then but once you go and do it, it's like you publish that first book and it took like forever because it's like, okay, but what if no one does this and this, but you did it anyway, like you went forward with it. Then the other books, it was easier,
Yeah.
like like something broke off of you and you just, I think that's so important for people to know that whatever is keeping them from doing it, uh, it's really, it's not keeping them from doing the thing. It's keeping them from starting. It's
Yeah.
keeping them from just hitting send and
Yeah.
going after it, because after that it gets easier and easier to do, and you're not afraid anymore. I think people need to overcome that fear. So thank you so much, Samantha, for joining me today. What the things that you shared were really valuable. They were really pertinent to people who, want to start, especially for those who, might have a little fear or anxiety on, stepping out and doing things like this, like having a really brilliant idea and putting it to reality. Samantha, thank you so much
Thank you
for
so much,
joining me.
Lexi.
If
Yes,
you
it was an
want
honor.
to contact her, just look at the links below. I encourage you to contact her if you're interested in any of her resources or her devotionals. Please, by all means, take advantage of that. And we'll see you next time
All right.
on
Bye.
the Aloha Monday podcast. Okay,
Aloha
take care,
Monday.
everyone.
Take care.
Aloha. Yes. All right.